welcome to episode. What are you doing?
Do you remember last week?
I do remember that, and I was thinking about that.
I know you
when
were.
I did my power jazz
I
hand
know.
at the end of the song. But it wasn't twitching like that this time.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, good.
I saw you do that. And I was like,
You had to do it.
Yeah.
You had to make fun of me.
yeah.
Okay, I
For those,
get it.
For those of you on YouTube, if you saw the video last week, when that last note hits of the intro, Tori did what she would explain it as jazz hands, but it just kind of looked like her hand was like twitching.
Okay. Moving on.
So this week I was making fun of her a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel better?
Yeah, I do.
Do you feel
I feel good.
fulfilled?
We can start now.
Okay. As I was saying, welcome to episode 13
Yeah.
of the Bear Attack podcast. Thank you for tuning in with us today. We're so excited to be doing this again this week, and we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But we're excited to dive into all of it. So we just want to start off first by talking. Oh my gosh, there's like hair on my microphone.
Wait, did you introduce us?
Oh my gosh. No, you interrupted me.
I don't know how you got cut off, but yeah.
Yeah, that was so weird. Do you want to introduce us, hon?
Yeah, you got a big there. Oh, wait, did I get it? No.
I got it.
You got it, yeah. Nice.
I realized I shouldn't blow on the mic.
No, my name is Josh Bear. This is the Bear Necessities. No, it's not the Bear Necessities podcast.
That's
it's
my
Bear,
Instagram.
That's Tori's Instagram. It's the Bear Attack podcast. This is my amazing and beautiful wife, Tori Bear.
Yeah.
And yeah, welcome to episode 13.
We are so happy. Okay. First off, we want to dive into our crazy weekend that we just had.
Yeah, yeah.
It was absolutely insane. Not really. There was just a lot going on. So first off, Josh abandoned me again this weekend. Just like completely left me at home, destitute. And yeah. So let's all shame him for that.
Very good.
Yeah. Do you care to defend yourself?
No, I have nothing to say.
Cool. Moving on.
No, I had a 10 years ago, I was a part of this it was like a Christian all guys wilderness camp where you like would camp and like camp in the woods and go hiking and whatnot up in upstate New York in the Adirondacks. And so I was a part of this. It was like the counselor and training program of the camp 10 years ago. They called it the guide program. And so we just had our 10-year anniversary with all those guys. It was like 24 of us. Not that all 24 were there, but 24 of us were a part of it back 10 years ago. So yeah, we had a little 10-year anniversary thing up in upstate New York at the camp, actually. And so yeah, I was there from Friday night to Sunday. And then we had a wedding Sunday afternoon. Yeah, so I had to leave along with Donnie Edmonds, shout out, Donnie.
Shout out.
He was also part of the guide program with me. And we had to leave at I think we left at 6:45 Sunday morning, a.m. Yeah. After being up until 1 a.m. the night before.
Right.
So I didn't drive. Donnie drove, which is amazing.
That's amazing.
So, yeah. I got to sleep, actually, which was really nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
We owe him a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
My weekend was equally super exciting.
Uh-huh.
I stayed with my parents Friday to Saturday.
Nice.
Because I feel safer there. I don't do well sleeping alone in the apartment. So I stayed with them, had a really great time with them. And then Saturday I came back to the apartment. I did so many good house chores that day. I was so proud of myself. I did a lot of good meal prep for us, which I'm also really proud of. And yeah, then Sunday, like Josh said, he came home and we basically left 2 hours later
Yeah.
or an hour later or something like that. Like,
yeah. Well, I got home at like 2:15 and we left at, what time was the wedding? Was it 4? We left at 3. Yeah. So it was 45 minutes.
yeah, that's not a long time.
Yeah.
So it was just like nonstop, ongoing activity, and but we really enjoyed this wedding. It was actually the drummer of one of Josh's bands, Pluto Come Back,
Check
who
us
got
out.
married. Yes, go on their Instagram, Pluto Come Back.
Boom. We got a new album coming out soon.
Oh my gosh, what date is it the release?
I don't know.
Okay. Favorite song on the album so far?
Do I have to say the name of it?
Do you want to?
I just feel like I'll say the name of it and people are going to be like, oh, I guess if somebody sees this and they'll be like, oh, okay, I'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
My favorite song on the album, probably a song called, oh man, they're all good. I'm not gonna lie.
They are all really good.
They're all really good. I don't know. There's one song I have the most attachment to, which is the only song it's the one song that I wrote the lyrics for.
And sang?
And I sang on it, yeah.
That's the one.
I think that, I mean, it's just the song I have the most like attachment to, just because I wrote it and I sing on it. Yeah.
What's it called?
Shooting Stars.
Shooting Stars. Keep a lookout for that one, you guys.
Yeah. It's a nice little like pop folk
That's so true.
jam.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it.
I will say I do think it's a very catchy song.
It gets in my head.
Yeah, it's a catchy song.
It's like a virus.
It's a good little melody. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, or I won't lie.
Yeah,
Pretty
you won't
proud of myself.
downplay it.
I
Yeah.
won't downplay it. Yeah.
Yeah, good. You shouldn't. No,
Yeah.
it's a really cool song.
Yeah. So I guess that's the one. Yeah.
Cool.
So.
Go check them out. And yeah, the drummer got married this weekend. And
Yeah.
John, shout out John Stauffer and Ashley Stauffer.
Ashley Stauffer.
Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Stauffer.
Yep.
Dude, the first time I was called Mrs. Bear.
Yeah.
Well, around your wedding, people, like write that on a lot of stuff. Like on your cards and stuff, they like Mr. and Mrs. Bear. It's like
Right.
really cute. It was just like so surreal to me. I'm like, I'm a Mrs. something. Like I
Yeah.
do not feel like a Mrs. Like
yeah.
I don't feel like I unlocked that level of life yet.
Right. Yeah. You were 23.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I still don't feel like a Miss. I don't get called Mrs. ever.
Right. Yeah.
Like when you're in school and your teacher gets married, it's a very obvious, like, I was Miss this last summer. Now I'm Mrs. this year. So
I remember when I was in 4th grade and our teacher was Miss Hershey.
Mm-hmm.
And then she got married. I want to say her married name was Milton. So it was Mrs. Milton.
Mhm.
I remember I was like, it was crazy.
Your brain broke.
My brain broke
Your little 4th grader brain.
because I kept calling her Miss Hershey.
Oh.
Because that's a cool name, first of all.
Yeah, I like the name Hershey.
Yeah.
Like Hershey chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then changed to Mrs. Milton, I think is what it was. But yeah, anyway.
Nice.
That's all I had to say.
Oh, that's a cute little anecdote, honey.
Yeah. But yeah, no, congrats to them. And,
Yes. Congrats and best wishes.
Yes.
And you notice how I said unlocked a new level of life?
Yeah.
I want that to segue into Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yes. Dude, me and Tori. We got married November 2020. November 15th, 2020. We went on our honeymoon, like, whatever. Like, we started, like, our honeymoon that, like that day, basically.
Yeah.
We didn't come home until the 15th was a Sunday. So then that would mean the 18th was that Wednesday. So we didn't come home until the following Wednesday, the 25th.
Okay.
Right?
We came home the day before Thanksgiving or something.
The 25th, November 25th, 2020, on a Wednesday. So obviously Thanksgiving was November 26th.
Mm-hmm.
November 27th, Black Friday.
Yes, that's so true.
Yes. We go to GameStop.
Uh-huh.
And we're like, let's get ourselves a little marriage gift.
Let's drop $500.
Is that how much it was? No. I think it was only like $200 or $300.
Why is the number 500 sticking out to me?
We bought 2 games.
Oh, we bought 2 games, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like $60 each.
Yeah. So we got a Nintendo Switch,
Mm-hmm.
and we got Smash Bros. Mario Smash Bros. Right? Is that what it's called?
Super Smash.
Super Smash.
Mario
Sorry, I'm so
Bros.
dumb.
Yeah.
It's funny how often we play that game and I can't remember the name.
It's kind of a mouthful.
Yeah, Mario Super Smash Bros. Whatever.
And Bros Brawl.
Brawl. No, this one's Ultimate.
Oh, Ultimate. Okay.
Yeah. Brawl was the one
that I grew up with.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Yeah. But and then we also bought Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so we played that all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. And so recently we've been like, kind of wanting new games because these are the only 2 games we got.
Yeah.
But they lasted us a long time.
A long time.
It's a year and a half later.
Yeah.
So we were like, we went to GameStop. We were looking at some of the games. It's funny because you can like buy the games online, but like, there's something about going to the store.
You like going to the store. You're very nostalgic about it.
It's very, yeah. Because I was a big gamer growing up. And so like when like the new Madden came out or like the new 2K came out or something like that, which is like football, basketball, all the sports games. I would just get so excited. Whoever, my grandma or my mom would take me to GameStop. It was just like, oh man.
Such a good feeling.
Such a good feeling. It was incredible. Oh,
Ouch.
sorry. So sorry.
That's okay. That really hurt though.
I'm sorry. I accidentally elbowed Tori's knee.
That really hurt.
Yeah, sorry. But anyway, so we went to GameStop and we were looking around and we were looking at some games and there were 3 games that we saw that we were like, oh, like these could be really interesting. One of them was Mario Golf. I literally think that's what it's called. Mario Golf.
Yeah.
We have the games right over here. I can't, but they're too far. They're out of my reach.
Yeah, they're out of our peripheral.
Yeah. And then there was Mario Super Strikers.
Oh yeah, the soccer one.
Yep. They that was originally for the GameCube like years and years ago. Another one that I grew up on. And they just came out. They just had a new one come out for the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one we were looking at was this Legend of Zelda game. It's called Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't get anything at that time, but we were like, okay, we have like these 3 games. Like we'll kind of go check out the reviews and like come up with a decision. So that was probably like, at this point, that was probably 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And so a couple days later, we were at a wedding, different wedding than the one we were just at this weekend. And we saw, shout out again, John Stauffer.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was not yet Ashley Stauffer, but now she is Ashley Stauffer.
Yeah.
And we were talking to them, and I was asking John, because John is a big Nintendo Switch guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, do you know this game, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild?
His eyes lit up.
His eyes lit up. He was like, bro, I'm not kidding. And you have to keep in mind, John is a gamer. He's played games his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Big Nintendo Switch guy, too. So, like,
he would know.
He would know. Yeah. He was like, bro, I mean this sincerely, it's probably the best game I've ever played in my life. And I was like,
yeah, that's a huge statement.
Yeah. And coming from him, it's legit. So I was like, okay, well, we need to get this game. So
that
the next
seals
day,
it. Literally the next day.
So yeah, the next day we went to GameStop and we got the game.
And we have not stopped playing it.
No, we have not.
It is. What's the kind of genre of the game?
It's like a first-person game.
Okay.
And it's like
you have different like adventure objectives you have to accomplish.
Yeah, it's like an exploration game.
There's a world you're exploring and like opening up as you go. Monsters you fight.
Yeah. It's so crazy because like you have like the main objective, which is like basically the same as in like most of these types of games, which is like
defeat the monster.
Yeah, defeat the
big boss.
The big boss. Yeah, defeat the big boss. So you have this objective, right? And you know who the big boss is like right from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like there are all of these other objectives, and the world that you're like in and operating in is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much to do.
It's like Middle Earth.
Yeah, kind of is like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's just like, oh, dude, it is just so good.
Yeah, you get to do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah, the freedom to do stuff is just like...
You can like go up any mountain. You can climb a tree. You can just weed whack grass if you want. There's horses you can ride and sand walruses, as we discovered last night.
Yeah. Yeah. What the heck was that? That was crazy.
That was crazy, but we discovered it.
That you can ride.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's just like things that you'll like. I feel like I've never been in a game and it's like, oh, you see like a rock, literally a rock. And you think to yourself like, oh, let me like go check under that rock and see if there's something there. Like,
and you can just do it.
You could just do it.
Yeah. There's no like invisible barrier preventing you from.
Yeah. Or if you see a tree and you're like, oh, I wonder what kind of tree that is. Like, is it growing any type of fruit? If it is, like, I'm going to go take the fruit.
Yeah.
It's like,
there's like no wrong move you can make.
No. Yeah. It's really amazing.
Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah. It feels like there are no limitations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Actually, there is one limitation I just found out yesterday. You can't take your horses into the desert, which I guess kind of makes sense.
Yeah. But that's where the sand walruses come into play.
Yes. Because they're in the desert.
They're in the desert.
And you can ride those.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Oh, man.
It's so good.
I want to play right now. I'm not going to lie. I low-key don't want to do this podcast right now.
Bro, it is. Oh, dude, that game is
I'm just thinking about it this whole time.
Yeah. I haven't told you this yet. I was looking up the game, like reviews of the game, and it is widely known.
Okay.
I was reading on multiple publications.
Okay. I don't know where you're going to go with this.
That all stated this is the best game ever created. Yeah.
Well, that's so like we've peaked.
Yeah, I know. Well, what's good is that this game is so long. And there's an expansion pack.
There is an expansion pack. Yeah. Yeah, I hope we're still playing this when we get little kids around us.
Dude,
like when we have kids.
We might be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, John was telling us that he's played for like easily over 100 hours. And by himself. And I mean, he's still not done.
I know.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. So I mean, like, dude, like, yeah.
And then we'll just start a new game and try different things.
It's dude, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless. Yeah.
And like discover new things.
Yeah, yeah.
That we didn't discover the first time.
Oh, dude, I want to play it so bad.
Me too. All right. Thanks for listening, you guys.
We're out.
Peace out. No, we wanted to do this podcast because we had a very important topic that we wanted to address, and that is the topic of abortion.
Yes. So this past Friday, today is Tuesday, so it's June 28th. Oh, calendar right up there.
Nice.
And so on Friday, June 24th, the Supreme Court ruled that Roe V Wade is no longer constitutional, and it was reversed.
Yes.
So what that means is that abortion laws are now given to the states to decide.
Yes.
Yeah. I was reading actually, you might have sent it to me. I was reading a Instagram post today, and it was a post stating which states have already made it illegal.
Oh, I didn't send that to you.
Okay. Which states have already made it legal, and which states are like on the fence still.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are like...
Go ahead.
There are like 50% of states that made it illegal.
Really?
I was surprised by that. I thought it was a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like the two main pro-abortion states are California and New York.
Yeah, they were in the legal.
Probably some New England.
All of New England was
all of
legal.
New England was legal for abortions at all stages, probably.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Imagine up to 9 months you can have an abortion. That is wildly insane.
Yeah, we'll get into it, but yeah. And then there were a decent amount there were probably like there's 50 states. I think there were like probably 23 that were illegal. Probably around like 15 that were legal.
Okay.
And then there was like, what does that leave? It's probably like,
was there like
10.
a couple like not punished, not incurred, like PA? I think it's like.
This post said it was so PA is a good example. That there were ones that already ruled it illegal. There were ones that already ruled it legal.
Yeah. And
there was a handful that were undecided. Pennsylvania was one of them.
PA is undecided.
Yeah.
And I think okay, cool.
Which is where we live, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those are the kind of like cold hard facts of what happened.
Yes.
I think one of the things that we kind of wanted to start out with, there was a lot to say, especially for us as Christians. with the worldview of the Bible, or looking at the world through the view of the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the first things we wanted to say was, especially in situations where like a woman becomes pregnant out of her control, whether that might be like rape or incest or whatever, sexual abuse, which I guess is rape. Having a pregnancy that it's outside of your control and then having this happen, I could understand that feeling of being out of control being perpetuated.
Yeah.
And so I think, and I don't just mean it necessarily for those women, but I mean for all women who are afraid because of this overturn.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of fear out there
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say one more quick thing.
Go for it.
I just wanted to say, like, we want to make sure we express love and grace.
Yes.
Towards those
and
people.
Compassion.
And compassion. Yeah.
And you have value in Christ. He wants to be your safety.
Yeah.
He wants to be the rock on which you stand. He's jealous for you. He wants you to come to him and pour out all your fears and anxieties on him. And he wants to take care of you.
Absolutely.
And give you peace.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
I was just going to expand, like, yes, of course, like women who are victims of rape, and also women who have pre-existing like medical conditions that make that either the medical condition itself or the treatment for that medical condition can put a fetus at risk. And I say fetus, but baby, to me the word fetus is just another stage of development for a human being. So that's what I mean by
living human being.
A living human being, yes. Yeah. So that can put fetus at risk, and they feel they have no other options but to terminate / abort the pregnancy. So, and I think we come from a place where we don't know what that's like to have that kind of fear. We don't know what that's like. We can't sympathize with that, but we want to try to understand it. But for us personally, and we think everyone should be 100% pro-life.
Yeah.
Because there are other options. But first we want to state from a biblical perspective why we're pro-life.
Sorry, I just want to add one more thing.
Go for it.
Is that, as Christians, we view this ruling as a victory.
Definitely.
In a sense. However, I think it's very important for Christians who are pro-life to understand that even though this is a victory, I think now more than ever is essential for us to provide, basically just reiterating, but provide compassion and love and grace and abortion-free options for these women who may feel afraid, feel out of control, and scared, So, I was just reiterating that. But anyway, like Tori said, the reason we're pro-life is because as Christians, the Bible is, as Christians who believe in the Bible and view the world from the viewpoint of the Bible, it is abundantly clear that God values life not even at conception, literally before conception. Yeah.
Correct.
So how much more does he value life at conception and afterwards?
And forming in the womb.
Yes.
And afterwards. Yeah.
And a couple verses, we wrote down a couple verses, but one of them, we have right here, Jeremiah 1:5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I consecrated you. I appointed you a prophet to the nations. Now, of course, he's speaking to Jeremiah here, but the idea still being that God formed us in the womb and still knew us before he even did that, Yeah. I think it's,
It's so powerful.
It very powerful. And I was just going to say, like, when you read something like that, I know it can be difficult for me to try to understand how a Bible-believing Christian can still be pro-choice, I don't want to say it in a way that's mean or that's, I'm not trying to come from a hateful place about that.
Right.
But, when you read something like that from Jeremiah, as a Christian, I mean, it's just the language is so clear.
So clear. And also just like, let's say scripture means nothing to you. Even from like a scientific perspective, life forms at conception.
Yep.
Your entire genetic makeup is decided as soon as that sperm meets the egg.
Yep.
So it's like that's life. That's the beginning of life.
Mm-hmm.
That's a human being inside of this woman, any woman.
Yeah.
But as a Christian, like you were saying, reading the verses we're about to reading like go over Jeremiah 1:5, the one that we just read, like how can you? This is what I think. I think it's brainwashing, emotional blackmail, just lies. Just lies poured into the women of the world saying, if you're not pro-choice, you're anti-woman.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful argument because no one wants to be anti-woman.
Of course, yeah.
But that's not what that means. Pro-life doesn't mean anti-woman.
Yeah.
It's pro-humans. This is what it's just pro, not murder.
Yep. No, absolutely. It's anti-murder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a couple more verses we have down here. I mean, Psalm 139, verse 13, for you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. Galatians 1:15, Paul says, but when he who had set me apart before I was born, and he who called me by his grace. I mean, we can go on and on. There are many verses speaking to this. I mean, and you brought this up before the podcast, but I mean, the verse or the story of Elizabeth and Mary in Luke 1, where Elizabeth is pregnant with John the Baptist, and Mary is pregnant with Jesus. Elizabeth goes to visit Mary and John the Baptist in the womb of Elizabeth. Elizabeth sees Mary.
Can I tell
you should explain it because I'm all over the place. Yeah.
I know what you're saying, but hearing, I'm like, I don't think that makes sense to a lot of people.
I'm all over the place. Yeah.
That's okay. No, we're talking about the story when Mary is pregnant with Jesus and she goes to visit her aunt Elizabeth, and Elizabeth is pregnant with John the Baptist. And when the women meet, what does the verse say? It says,
I actually didn't write it down in the notes. But
oh, okay. Yeah. Is it Jesus or?
It's John the Baptist.
John the Baptist. The verse notes that John the Baptist leaps within the mother's womb. And I just think that's so beautiful to know that, like, there's, what's the word? Like sentience. There's consciousness there.
Yep.
There is a personality there. And the more we know about the developmental stages of a baby in the womb, it's just amazing, like, how quickly they just develop into their own little person, even before their own little personality, even before they are birthed.
Yep. Yeah.
And that personality is continued. They're like, oh yeah, this is, he was like this in the womb, and I can just see him doing that right now. Like,
yeah,
as like a little baby.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just quickly read the verses, but verse 39 of Luke chapter 1. In those days, Mary arose and went with haste into the hill country to a town in Judah, and she entered the house of Zechariah and greeted Elizabeth. And when Elizabeth heard the greeting of Mary, the baby leaped in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit. Yeah. So, as Tori said, and as we've been saying this whole time, in regard to what the Bible says about children in the womb, it's just so abundantly clear that not only is life precious to God within the womb, but he knew us and had a plan for our lives before we were even conceived and in the womb.
Yes.
You know? So how much more so, even, you know, when we're in the womb. So, again.
And how much more do we draw ourselves away from God when we support the abortion of children?
Yep.
It's just, we're just a nation that supports that is a nation that is far from God.
Yes, absolutely. So all this to say, I mean, this is us coming from a biblical point of view as Bible-believing Christians. And so, you know, we wanted to make that clear, I think, first of all, because it's such a main part of who we are. And, but also to kind of like, I think based on the kind of the first thing we talked about in regard to some of these women who may feel scared by this overturning, you know, is to provide a hope, you know. And like you said, Tori, early on, is like Jesus is that hope. Yeah. You know, and so, I mean, I think it's funny because I think as a Christian, living in a world like we are in today, or in a culture like we are in today, where the emotional blackmail when it comes to abortion is unreal. The emotional blackmail on women, and then also the emotional blackmail on men from those women to support abortion. The pressure is
on. It is turned up.
Yes.
This is not an easy battle.
No, not at all. And I mean, like, I don't know if you want to share this, but like in college.
No, we could definitely talk about this.
Yeah, like I mean, you're just surrounded with it at all times.
Yeah, like I grew up, you know, within a Christian household and surrounded by, you know, pro-life was just kind of woven into the fabric of my upbringing, you know. And then going into college, you're faced with a whole different group of people who have a whole different outlook on life and a whole different point of view. And one of those point of views is pro-abortion. So it affects you. If it affected me. And I, for a little bit of my life, I was one of those people who said, you know, I would never abort my own child, or I would never choose abortion, but I don't want to step on the toes of any other woman trying to decide for her life. And that's still really prevalent. I don't believe that anymore. That's still a hugely prevalent argument going on in the pro-abortion movement, where they say you can do whatever you want, just don't tell anyone else what to do. And for us, it's just faulty thinking, because when you see something that's morally wrong, you can't just sit back
absolutely
and not try to stop it.
Yep.
And that's what abortion is. It is just morally wrong.
Yep. Yeah, when you see something that's morally wrong and you know the consequences of it, it's like, no, you can't be silent.
No.
You know? I was watching a video today of a Christian commentator, solid guy. His name is Ruslan, for those who want to go check him out. I think that's how
do you spell it?
Ruslan.
Okay.
Solid guy. Yeah. And he was talking about abortion. He was talking about how women on TikTok are basically saying that, like, oh, like I don't necessarily support abortion or support like hookup culture, but like I don't want to step on the toes of like anybody else. And he was like, why? He's like, no, you should do that.
Right.
You should do that, like we're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, no, like if you know that's wrong, if you know that's toxic, if you know that has bad consequences, why would you not tell that person?
Fight against
or why would you not tell these people? You know what I mean? Yeah. So
take a stand.
Yeah. Take a stand, and don't be afraid. And I know It is. I'll be honest. It's much easier said than done, especially in the society we live in today.
Even right now, we're very safe behind our mics and our camera, and it's very easy to talk. It's very easy to kind of just have this discussion right now. I guess I'll say easy. Yeah, it's safer.
There's no like immediate threat at the moment.
There is definitely no immediate threat at the moment, and this is a challenge we want to take upon ourselves. You know, so yeah. That's what I want to say about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is crazy. And, you know, there are those instances such as like, and we kind of talked about them earlier, such as like rape, incest. I'll even loop in like, oh gosh, I can't remember the ectopic.
Oh yeah, the ectopic pregnancy.
Yeah, I just mean situations where it's like
the medical kind of conditions.
Medical conditions, pregnancies that were outside of the woman's control, like situations where a lot of pro-choice people will sort of bring that up as an example as to why abortion should be legal.
Yeah.
Even though it only accounts for like, I think all of those things only account for like,
I forget what the number is. I forget if it's like
it's in the single digits.
1% or 5% or something.
Yeah.
It's the marginal cases.
Yes. Yeah. Certainly not the majority. Yeah.
Right.
And I think the majority of cases, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure this is correct, and you could tell me if I'm wrong because I know you know more about this. But I mean, the majority of cases are women who are just don't want to have a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it could be.
Now, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. I was just saying, I'm not saying that they are just flippantly choosing to have an abortion. I understand it's a difficult decision.
I think for a lot of people, abortion is plan A.
Right.
In the case of an unwanted pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I think we should just kind of go back real quick to the toxicity of hookup culture, of sexual empowerment.
That's kind of what I was trying to get to, but yeah, you got it.
Keep going then.
No. You were just about to say exactly what I was about to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay, good. Yeah. I think when we talk about abortion and everything that surrounds that, we need to take a step back even further to say, well, how did it get here? You know, it's kind of like the feminist movement of sexual empowerment. I don't even know what that means. I don't know how that's empowering. But to kind of have sex with whoever you want, whenever you want. And I think it's a fight against that legalistic purity culture. You know, that people
definitely
really dislike, and I understand. And that's a different discussion for a different time.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people grew up in a world where they were told that sex makes you a bad person. There is no grace or forgiveness if you have sex outside of marriage. And I think the sexual empowerment movement was trying to fight against that.
I think it also was trying to fight against the oppression of women also, to a degree. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. It was a way to allow women to feel a way of, control and empowerment.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And that led to a devaluing of sex and just devaluing the beauty of sex within a marriage. And then that leads to unwanted pregnancies within consensual heterosexual relationships where they're just, they don't understand the value of sex. So does that make sense? Did any of that make sense?
Yeah.
I felt like I was making sense, but I don't know.
No, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, good. And so weirdly enough, I don't think it's taught enough or it's highlighted enough that during sex education, that when two people are having sex, it's consensual, it's heterosexual, the result of that is going to be an unwanted pregnancy, or the possible result is a pregnancy. And I guess depending where you are in life, that pregnancy might be wanted and it might be unwanted. But you have to take responsibility if that sexual encounter was consensual.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to be, maybe it is, and I just didn't really have a good sex education growing up.
Yeah, that's a good question. I do feel like it is. It's not highlighted enough. Or I think maybe more so, maybe not that it's not highlighted, but more so that like abortion is just always presented as an option.
I guess that's true, yeah.
You know,
and they don't talk about the harm and trauma of an abortion.
Yes, no.
Psychologically, physically.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I mean, we could like go on a deep dive into the history of Planned Parenthood and like whatnot. I know you know a bunch about that, but like it's crazy. It's a deep, dark.
It's not hard to learn about.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Just Google Margaret Sanger. Is that her name, Sanger?
That sounds right. Yeah, Singer, something like that. Yeah.
Founder of Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Just Google.
I mean, it all just speaks to come back to sort of the spiritual aspect of it, which this abortion, the struggle with abortion, at the core is a spiritual issue, right? And so,
yes,
as Christians, we can't help but just continue to talk about the spiritual, what the Bible says about life in the womb. And to add on to that, I mean, it's a clear work of the enemy. It's the enemy pulling the veil over the eyes of all these people who are pro-choice, and they're allowing themselves to believe the lie from the enemy and from society that being pro-choice is being pro-woman, which it's not. No. It's not at all. Yeah.
No, it's anti-woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an attack on women.
Yeah.
I believe.
It's also pro-murder of babies. I'm just going to say straight up,
100%. Yeah, it is just pro-murder. Just where do you draw the line? Where do we draw, where do we as a society draw the line?
Yeah.
What was I going to say? You mentioned something about it being a spiritual issue. And I agreed. And I was thinking at that moment, what was I thinking? Just teaching about the value of life that God bestows on preborns. And also the value of life that God has for those currently, out here in the world. Like what I was saying before, he is jealous for you. He wants your heart. Yeah. And it's hard I can see how it can be hard for non-believers to see it that way because they don't have the Holy Spirit.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I kind of just mention also, in regard to to kind of play off what you're saying with how God can be that safety for women, how Jesus can be that safety for women, in instances where there is rape or incest, or whatever else, where the woman has no control, you know, over them being pregnant or becoming pregnant. Obviously, those are absolutely tragic situations.
It's a heinous crime.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so, I think being pro-life, the tendency, I'm not saying we disagree with this. We do agree that, there should be no abortion at all. Ever, However, I think the tendency with a lot of people in that case is to sort of is to not come off gracious with instances like this, right? And so in instances like this, there are abortion-free options,
Yes.
There are abortion-free options. And I think something that I would say, and I know I'm a male, and I know the culture wants to tell you that I have no say in this.
You have a say. Men have a say, okay?
But do not believe the lie from society, the pro-choice society, that tells you that if you keep your baby, which is a result from rape or incest or whatever, some sort of tragic situation, that the baby will be a continual reminder of that trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Your trauma is, first of all, it's much larger than that. It's not like, this sounds horrible, but aborting your baby is not going to get rid of the facts of what happened, right?
Right. It just doesn't, the lie is that aborting your baby will erase the trauma of your rape.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If that is a result of rape, for in that case. But the truth is, you're adding to the trauma, and you're going to be stuck in a cycle of trauma, psychologically, physically, and you need to seek healing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want to keep that baby, there's the option of adoption.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe there are so many couples in the U.S. waiting to adopt a newborn baby. And we know, and then in the cases of medical necessity, there's a lie that goes around that says it's medically necessary to have abortions. And just from what I researched and what has been taught to me is that it's never medically necessary to have an abortion.
No.
Man, I heard this insane story of a mother. Sorry, my cat's head just popped out of nowhere. Of this mother who was pregnant, and she, went to the doctor's office, so excited to have her first ultrasound. The first ultrasound was completed, and the nurse comes back into the room and hands her a note. And the note says, "You have contracted the measles. You're going to be fine, but your baby has it, and it's going to it's going to affect the development of your baby, I believe. The arms and the legs aren't going to develop correctly. Would you like the option to abort your pregnancy?" And the mother thought about it, and she said, "No, I do not want to abort my baby." And that baby grew up to be a full-grown, healthy male. And he actually spoke. This is why the reason why I know the story is because he spoke at a company event that I had to go to, and it's crazy. He's like 6'5".
Yeah, you sent me. I remember you sent me a picture because you took a picture with him.
Yeah,
he's like 6'5".
You would never know
pounds.
that he had any type of developmental issues in the womb.
Right. Yeah.
And I know not everything's a happy ending in that case.
Sure.
But there are, I heard this podcast and I recommend it. It's called Explicitly Pro-Life. It's by Kristen Hawkins, who is the host of the podcast, and she oftentimes has guests on. And I believe there was a neonatalist from Pennsylvania who's a pro-life doctor. And she was saying in the cases where a medical condition or something is going to kill the baby, we don't do an abortion. We do an early delivery.
Mm-hmm.
And
which is not abortion.
Not an abortion.
And society will try to tell you that is abortion.
And it's not.
Yeah.
An abortion, the intention every time for an abortion is to kill a baby. Whereas an early delivery, that baby is going to be... So the age of viability differs between each state, but there have been cases where babies are able to survive, I believe, 22 weeks into a pregnancy.
Oh, yeah. I have a good friend who his wife had a baby at 22 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And he's 4 years old now. He's great.
Doing great, yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't like one of your friends... 22, like a 20-week baby too.
Oh, a friend of mine's wife.
Oh, yeah, their wife.
Yeah, she was born 22 weeks.
Yeah,
and she's a fully functioning human being.
Yes,
with no issues.
Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing the medical technology that we have today.
Mm-hmm.
It's really incredible.
Yep.
But in a case where maybe you're 11 weeks along and your doctor is telling you continuing with this pregnancy will kill you. Let's say that's what they tell you. I am not a doctor. I would like to make that disclaimer right now.
Right.
Do not quote me to your doctor.
Yeah.
But seek out pro-life doctors and see if there's an option. And I know there's options out there because I've been, from what I research, there are options to do an early delivery, and you would just hook up that baby and you would let it, the baby will die, but you're not murdering it.
Yep.
It's just an early delivery and they won't live very long.
Yeah.
But you're going to make it,
most likely, yeah.
I guess, a humane death.
Yes, right.
A dignified death.
Yep.
You're not going in dismembering its arms and legs or shooting it out with poison or slitting its throat as it comes out of the womb. Because that's what an abortion is.
Right.
And it's crazy. Like, let's say you're in a situation, and I've heard that an abortion, like a later term abortion, can take up to like 72 hours to prepare for. Whereas an emergency C-section, they can have that prepped within an hour.
Yeah.
Abortion is never medically necessary.
No, it's not.
So, sorry, I just got really passionate there.
No. I mean, it's such a great point. I feel like the education around abortion, especially now, needs to be made very clear.
Yes, their options needs to be made clear.
Yeah. And I think any doctor who tells you that abortion is the only, especially now, any doctor who tells you that abortion is the only, like, necessary option, like, they're wrong, first of all, but also that's malpractice at this point.
Yeah, seek out a pro-life doctor.
Yeah, exactly. So,
who will value your life and your baby's life.
Yes, 100%. And I mean, as a last point,
keep going,
unless you don't have anything else.
I think I'm done.
Yeah, I just want to say this, that, I think a lot of women believe that their rights were taken away by this choice, right? But what we have to remember is that that's not true, right?
Right.
And what's actually true is that the rights of unborn children, living children, have been given back to them.
Yes.
Right?
It shouldn't be anyone's right to decide what innocent life lives or dies.
Yes, absolutely.
Like the most innocent among us.
Yeah, the most defenseless and innocent among us. Yep.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. And so I think, for me, I think there are a couple groups of people that we can sort of maybe say stuff to.
Yeah.
First being women who feel scared because of this choice. And we've already said this throughout the whole podcast. But and Tori, you said it so perfectly multiple times throughout this whole time. But you are loved and cherished and valued by a God who formed you in your mother's womb, who created you, and who loves you, right?
Unconditionally. Even if you've had an abortion already, there is grace, there is healing, there is forgiveness. It is 100% true that you can always go to God and he will heal you from that.
Yes, absolutely.
Spiritually.
Yes. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what we want to say to you, is that we understand that this might be scary. We understand that this might perpetuate the feeling of lacking control, right? Especially if you had a pregnancy outside of your control in a horribly tragic situation.
And if you are just surrounded by media that it is telling you it's out of your control now.
Yes. Yep. And like we've been saying, that you are truly loved, you are truly cherished by a God who died for you and loves you and formed you in your mother's womb.
Yeah.
Secondly, I think it's worth talking to Christians who believe in the Bible, who are pro-choice. And as a fellow Christian, I think we would both certainly acknowledge, I speak for both of us, that we love you as brothers and sisters in Christ.
Yes, 100%.
And the question really comes down to, do you believe that the fetus is alive, right?
A living human life.
Yep.
It can't be anything else.
Nope. And we read verses, and we went through verses in the podcast today where the Bible makes it abundantly clear that not only does God value life in the womb, but actually God values life before conception.
Yes.
He knew us before we were ever even formed, right?
Yes.
He died for us before we were ever formed.
Mm-hmm.
And so not only is there value of that human being that's in the womb, but we are valued long before we were ever conceived.
And don't let the media lie to you and tell you that you're not a good Christian if you're not pro-choice, or don't let that lie sink in. Be prepared to be hated. Mm-hmm. What's that verse you and Jake were talking about today?
Yeah, I mean, Jesus tells us directly, the world is going to hate us.
Yes, he's very clear about that.
Because we love him and want to follow him. Jesus, that is, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
now more than ever is in America is when we're going to feel it, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Is there another group of people you think?
Christians who are pro-life, like us. I would say, we celebrate with you, right? We celebrate that this victory has happened.
Yes.
And it's amazing. However, it does not stop here, right? I would caution people to be careful about how they react towards people who are pro-choice. Never react with hate.
Yes.
And I would say react with compassion.
Yes,
and
that's
love
what I was going to say. Yeah.
and grace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Still speaking the truth, of course, right? But understanding that, as Christians, we are called to live spirit-filled lives, and that does not include ever treating somebody with hate, right?
Correct. Let's put love into action. Let's identify the women around us who are very close to us, who feel, the trapped and unsafe with the law that was overturned. And let's surround them with love. Let's bring them meals. Let's be with them. Let's love on them unconditionally, just like Jesus would do.
Yep.
He tells us to value widows and orphans.
Yes. Yes.
Now more than ever, let's put that into action.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I think that was kind of everything I wanted to say as far as quote unquote closing remarks. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you guys so much for listening. Comments, DM me, shout at me if you need to.
At the Bare Necessities.
Follow us on Spotify. Subscribe to our YouTube. Start a conversation about this. We would love to hear all thoughts, all positions, as long as they are said in love and are constructive and not said with malice or hate from all sides. And so we are going to continue praying about this issue for the nation, that the nation will turn to the Lord as their safety and their blessed hope.
Yep.
And so we love you guys. We cherish you. And we can't wait to talk to you next week.
Yes, can't wait.
Bye.